Good morning, Bluebirds, and happy Tuesday. So today I have a special story to read to you. But first, I have another friend that I would like to introduce to you. You're probably thinking, how in the world does Miss Corinne have so many friends at her house? I know, I'm wondering the same thing too. But this friend is the main character in the story I'm about to read to you. And I'm going to do what I usually do, which is describe this character, and you have to guess who he is. Okay, do you guys think you can do that? Okay, the first clue is that he is an animal. And he is green with shiny and smooth skin. He lives in and near water, and he has long legs that help him leap and hop. He also has two big bulgy eyes. Can anyone guess what kind of animal he is? You ready to see? Okay. It's a frog. And I know it's super silly because what is the frog wearing? It's wearing clothes. Do frogs usually wear clothes? Not usually, right? But since he's the main character in our story, he is wearing clothes. So friends, this froggy, I'll put him right here. I'm going to balance him on my coffee cup so you can see him. So Froggy is one of the main characters in a story called Frog and Toad. So this is a huge book, and it's full of actually a bunch of different stories about Frog and Toad's friendship and all the adventures that they go on together. And so as you can see, so here's Froggy and here's Toad. So do they look exactly the same? Not really, right? What are some differences you see in Frog and Toad? It's kind of hard to see, I know, because they're not both standing up, and it's not too detailed with their features, but toads, unlike frogs, have really bumpy, dry skin. Do you see some of these bumps right here? Whereas frogs have really smooth and shiny skin. And toads don't really live by water. They actually wander away from water and live on dry land. The only time they really go back to the water is to lay their eggs. They're tadpoles. And also, toads don't really make big leaps and hop really far. Toads kind of make smaller hops, and usually they walk. They're a little bit slower than frogs. So friends, the story that I chose to read to you today is called The Garden. I thought, why not read The Garden? Because it's spring, right? And this is a time when gardens really bloom. So friends, raise your hand if you have a garden. Or if you've ever seen a garden before. What grows in a garden? Yeah, lots of different things, right? Flowers, vegetables, fruits. So much grows in a garden. So friends, this story, again, is called The Garden. Frog was in his garden, and Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Why, yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it was hard work." "Ah, I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Well, here are some flower seeds. You can plant them in the ground, and soon you will have a garden." "Well, how soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. I'm going to move Froggy out of the way just for a little bit so you guys can see the pages and the pictures. I'll show them to you again after the story. So Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad. "Start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times, but the seeds didn't start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." But Toad looked at the ground again, and the seeds didn't start growing. Friends, is that how a garden works? Do you just plant the seeds and then expect them to grow immediately? No, what do we have to do to seeds? We have to give them time. And what else do they need to grow? They need things like water and sun. And that just doesn't happen right away, right? So Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "Well, you're shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine. Let the rain fall on them, and soon your seeds will start to grow." That night, Toad looked out of his window. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." So Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds too. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Friends, do you know what instrument this is? It's an instrument that makes really beautiful music. And it's called a violin. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole wide world." Then Toad felt very tired, and so he fell asleep. It can be a little tiring when you have to be patient sometimes, huh, friends? "Toad, Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "but you are right, Frog. It was very hard work." The end. Wow, friends. Does it take a lot of patience to grow a garden? Yeah. And does it pay off to be patient? Isn't it worth being patient? Because whatever you're waiting for usually is a wonderful thing. It's usually something you really want. So it's better to just try to enjoy and embrace the being patient, just as Toad did, like playing music and reading and singing. So friends, I thought since Toad did such wonderful things to his seeds, like singing to them and reading poems and playing an instrument, it made me think about how happy music can make me feel. Does music make you guys happy too? Yeah. So I thought it would be fun to make our own instruments. So, you're probably wondering, how in the world can I make an instrument out of scratch, out of nothing? Well, friends, Remember, you have so much in your house that you can build with. So I know you may have an instrument already in your house, or maybe you don't. But instead of using something we already have, let's try to put our thinking caps on and think about ways we can build an instrument. So friends, I built one already. I built a little shaker. Do you guys want to hear what it sounds like? I wonder what's inside. Do you guys know what's inside? Should I show you? So friends, the pasta that I used to make my magic letters is the pasta I used and put inside of this toilet paper roll. See? And what did I have to make for it to not come out, right? Because I have to close it off, otherwise the pasta would go everywhere. So I used something called parchment paper. Your mommies and daddies probably have something like this at home. Maybe this or aluminum foil, something that you usually use to bake with. But really you can use anything. You could use paper too. And then I wrapped it around my toilet paper roll and I used a rubber band to tie it off. If you don't have a rubber band, friends, you can use maybe a stapler. You could staple it or glue it. So see what you have around in your house and see if you could think of a different way to make an instrument, or the same way, whatever you really feel like. And then friends, tomorrow at our circle time, we are going to share these instruments with each other. So I will call on each one of you and you guys can tell us all about your instrument. And you can show the bluebirds what it sounds like and how you made it. Okay? So I'm really excited to see what you come up with, and I can't wait to see all of your faces tomorrow at circle time. Okay? I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.